Hi there, I'm Stephanie Priest. I'm the CEO and founder of Ignite Fitness and Kickboxing, and we focus on helping people to get to their other side of their journey, get to their goals through wellness and lifestyle. So what we really focus on is no restriction. What we look at is how is it that we can make what it is that you're consuming, make that absolutely your lifestyle, and really make certain that you do all of these amazing habits and get to the other side of your goals. So in this video today, we are going to talk about the conundrum around how is it that I can lose weight, feel amazing, train wonderfully, and still drink? Because everybody likes to have a cocktail or two. And I say everyone loosely, right? Some of us like to have a cocktail. Some of us like to have a couple of cocktails just to kind of like relax. And we use that as a bit of a coping mechanism. But today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of how is it that we can do those things and actualize results on the other side of it, right? Because what we focus on is the lifestyle. So let's talk a little bit about it. So first of all, I do want to go ahead and like put some ground rules down so that way you're super, super clear about it. We use, as a society in general, alcohol as a bit of a coping mechanism, right? We use it to relax. We use it to like wind down, take the edge off. But at the end of the day, alcohol just isn't healthy for us, right? Lots of people are like, oh, but wait, drinking wine gives me antioxidants. I mean, okay, but you have to drink bottles and bottles and bottles of wine in order to be able to get the real benefit from those antioxidants. So whenever you hear people who are like, oh, well, my wine gives me antioxidants and it's so healthy for you, really, really think about that, because at the end of the day, whenever those results have been cast, we don't actually have the correct data to back up that this gives us long-term health benefits. So even if you want to believe that there are health benefits to it, like let's be really honest and candid with each other, alcohol is just not healthy for our body. There's a couple of reasons that it's not. The first one is while we're like, oh, I'm just going to have one glass, well, that becomes 2 glasses or 3 glasses, and for some of us, maybe a bottle or so. So quite frankly, the negatives of what it is that we're doing with alcohol consumption truly outweigh that healthy antioxidant part. With that being said, I totally get it. Some of us just want to have a cocktail, right? A glass of wine. We drink socially with our friends, and it's part of our mental and our social and our emotional aspects, right? That's okay. I also like to have a cocktail here or there. Life is meant to be enjoyed, right? And for some of us, adding cocktails in, adding in a glass of wine, they absolutely add to the level of enjoyment that we have. But I really just want you to think about what the actual impact. Does it help me? Does it hurt me when I'm trying to lose weight? Does it help me or hurt me when I'm trying to work on body recomposition? Yeah, it absolutely does hurt. However, let me say this. If you understand that it is going to slow your results down and you are okay with that, then there's absolutely ways for us to be able to build alcohol into what it is that you're trying to accomplish. However, if you're looking for like the fastest results possible, right? If you're like, I need to get into this dress before a wedding, I need to do this, I haven't given myself much time, then you have to cut it out. So you need to eliminate any of the things and all of the things that are going to have a negative impact on your training, on your hormones, and on your calorie intake. And let's be honest, boozing it up has absolutely a massive impact on that calorie intake. It also has a huge impact on our hormones. So when we think about, like, let's look a little bit at the science of what it is that alcohol does. It actually suppresses fat oxidation, right? So what ends up happening is your body is trying to get rid of the alcohol. It doesn't actually utilize the other macros. So we've talked about macros a lot. There's proteins, there's fats, and then there's also carbs in those large macronutrients that our body needs for fuel. Alcohol is kind of like that fourth macro, like we give it its own little world. And a space actually in those macros. But really think about that. Whenever your body is processing alcohol, it slows everything down, everything else that you're trying to use to fuel your body. It also increases your appetite, right? Because it lowers our inhibition. So how many of you have like had a couple cocktails and then before you know it, you've eaten like a burrito and like a case of like Oreos and like you're digging in the fridge for something else, right? So typically what happens is our inhibitions drop, whenever we have that alcohol. So we don't properly fuel our body with the macros that we actually need. In addition to that, we've got that suppression of fat oxidation. And whenever we're drinking, we tend to eat things that have like super calorie dense foods, right? So there's some negative impacts on that. I'm not going to talk to you today about all the negatives of it, right? I just want you to understand that if you are going to continue to have alcohol, that your results are going to be slower. And that's cool. You just have to understand what it is that you're looking to accomplish, understand what the proper time frame is for that, and realize that anything that you put in there that is going to minimize your training, that is going to minimize your hormones, that is going to increase your calorie intake, that's all going to have an impact on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So the other thing that I think is really, really, really important to think about is how does this affect my recovery? So you guys will hear me say a lot of buzzwords like recovery, sleep, making certain you have enough rest. Those are all really important when you're trying to get from A to Z, right? When you're trying to get to the other side of your journey. So when you are actually intoxicated or you have a few glasses of wine, 1 or 3 or 5 or a bottle or whatever that is, right? I really want you to think about what impact that has on your recovery. Because inevitably what happens is we're like, oh my God, like I totally passed out, right? And I woke up and I felt fine. I was like shaky, but like I wasn't like hungover or anything. But then in the afternoon, I got really tired. So let me explain the science behind what happens. And I'm going to do it in layman's terms. I'm not going to get into like all of the details of it. But essentially what happens is your respiratory rate increases, your heart rate variability decreases in a negative way. You actually elevate that heart rate. And when you elevate your heart rate, you don't ever effectively get into REM sleep. So what inevitably happens is like your system is trying to like fight the alcohol that it's got in there. So it also inhibits the absorption of like all of your nutrients. So when you think about like what your recovery looks like after a night of drinking or a few glasses of wine, there's lots of negativity to that. And think about what it's like to have to get up early in the morning to go to the gym after you've like had a hard night out, right? It's really, really difficult. So I wear a Whoop band. This is not sponsored, but I wear a Whoop band, and you can absolutely tell in my heart rate variability, and you can tell in my heart rate whenever I've had alcohol. My recovery is decreased. My heart rate is elevated. The next day I wake up, I don't feel nearly as good as normal. So those are the things that you really need to think about when you're looking to get to the other side. But let me also say this. One night out with the girls is not going to have a long-term impact, right? When you're talking about like consistency across the board, if you're consistently drinking every single day, this is absolutely going to slow down your recovery. If you have a night out, it's not going to be as detrimental if you're consistently actually drinking. Does that make sense? I hope that actually makes sense to you guys. However, if you want the fastest results possible, really think about the fact that your nutrition is not going to be great, right? Because it's going to be inconsistent because you're eating like a bag of Oreos. Like we've all done it. Don't act like you haven't. And you're not going to log that. So think of that. If you are looking from a lifestyle perspective and you want alcohol to be part of your lifestyle, you can absolutely do that. Just recognize that drinking is going to impact those long-term results, right? So if you were looking for this term, cut out the drinking. If you're looking for this term, you can have it, but think about having it in moderation, right? That's what we want to do is we want to look at balance. We want to look at lifestyle. We want to look at this holistically. So how is it that we fit this in from an overall perspective and from a balance perspective? So we do slow and steady, okay? Consider this. Instead of drinking daily, drink 1 or 2 days a week, right? Log your alcohol. This is where people get really, really dicey on their alcohol, because what is inevitably going to happen is if you log something in your MyFitnessPal and your handy dandy MyFitnessPal, and you log a Truly seltzer, right? We'll say that's 110 calories. I don't know what it really is, but I'm just going to guess it's probably 110 calories. In there, it's going to say it probably has 10 grams of carbs, okay? So if you are logging it, know that that macro does not add up. 10 grams of carbs is only 40 calories total. So where does the other 70, I did that math in my head. Sorry. Where's the other 70 calories coming from? So there's a couple different ways that you can log it. You can obviously not log it as protein, but you can log it as fat, or you can log it as a carbohydrate. If you're going to log it as fat, okay, this is what you need to do. For every gram of fat that you have, that's equal to 9 calories. I would probably log it as fat. And the reason I would log it as fat is because it inhibits your fat. Whenever you drink alcohol, it inhibits your fat oxidation. So you want to make certain that you're not double doing the fat. So I tend to log it in fats. So if I have 110 calories, I've got 40 of those allocated to carbohydrates based on what it is that Truly tells me, right? So I've got 40 calories there. I've got another 70 calories to log. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 70, I'm going to divide that by 9, and that's going to give me around 8 grams, right, of fat. So you're going to do a quick add as opposed to a Truly add, because if you do like just the scan, that's not going to work for you. It's not going to properly log those macros. So what you would need to do is you need to do a quick add, or you can add it in like long term because you drink Trulies all the time, right? You can just log it as one of your foods, and you can memorize that in MyFitnessPal or whatever app that you use. And then you would have 9 of those fat grams, and then you would have 10 of those carbohydrates, right? That would be how I would consider logging it. Is it going to be perfect to the calorie? Absolutely not. But you're already aware of that because you're deciding to build this into your world. Now, if you decide to log it all as carbs, that's totally cool. Also, you would do 110 divided by 4, because for every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you have, it's equal to 4 calories, right? So 110 divided by 4 is roughly like 4.5, somewhere right around that. And then you would just go into that quick add or memorize it into your phone. And then you would say, okay, cool, this is going to be however many carbs that we decided that was going to be. And that's going to get us to roughly that 110 calorie add. So there are a couple of things that I will say. First, know that this is absolutely going to slow down your process. Can you do it? Of course you can do it. Are there going to be some impacts on those results? 100%. If you want fast results, then you need to cut it completely out. You need to cut anything out, right? That isn't going to enhance your training, that isn't going to enhance your rest, that isn't going to enhance your recovery. You want to make sure that you cut all that out. But another tip for the trade is if you go into a night of drinking, right? You're like, okay, I've got a night out with the girls, like we're going to do all the things. This is what I would recommend for you to do. Eat protein before you drink, right? That way you don't go crazy whenever it is that you're drinking. So what's going to happen is protein is obviously super voluminous. And what it does is it minimizes our need to eat additional. It helps us curb those cravings. You know, I don't believe in cravings. But what it does is it hits that satiety factor. So protein increases your satiety. So that way you're not actually going crazy whenever you're drinking. Alcohol can absolutely be a part of your lifestyle. It's a part of my lifestyle as well. I just recognize the impact that it has on my training, right? I also understand the impact that it has on my results. Are there days where I tend to be a little bit fluffier, that I tend to retain water? Yeah, absolutely. And it's because I haven't necessarily made the best choices for my body. Because at the end of the day, alcohol is really not good for you. I say it's definitely not good for you, right? We've just conditioned ourselves in society as it's part of our social outlet. It's part of our mental coping mechanisms. So this helps us to create a lifestyle, right, based on not being restrictive. And I think that that's really why you all come here, is to really understand how is it that I can make this a part of my life, understand the implications of making this a part of your life, and really be able to get to the other side of your journey in a way that makes sense for you. Because that's what this is about. It's about your journey on your terms and how it is that you want to accomplish your goals. So what I would love to know is down below, make certain that you let me know what your drink of choice is. And if you have questions about it, always make certain that you drop those questions in the chat below. Make certain that you've subscribed. Make certain that you hit that like button. We love to hear all of your comments. So you guys know the drill. Thank you so much for listening in. We appreciate you as part of Ignite Nation. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.